Hi friends, this is Jennifer Swales from Honeybee Astrology, back to talk about the Leo new moon and the Mercury retrograde happening on August 4th, 2024. The retrograde, to my mind, is, well, it's not more important, but it's happening at the beginning of Virgo. So Mercury is going to go from 4 degrees of Virgo back into Leo. This, to my mind, is like the best time to change your mind, this retrograde. And it's going to really be based on you, on your own personal preferences. And that's a rarity. Because Pluto is going back into Earth, we're all very much feeling our kind of earthly concerns and the changes that we want to make, but we're not able to make them because we're so stuck in our minds with Pluto being in air. Compound that with the notion that Mars and Jupiter are about to conjoin. It seems like it's almost an explosive time, which gives us this kind of analysis paralysis anyhow, because there's so many thoughts and there's so many possibilities. So the fact that this retrograde starts in Virgo, where Mercury is exalted, he's in his rulership, it means that he's almost kind of clearer than anyone. Clearer than you, clearer than Pluto, right? So he's going to step back in. You know how retrograde goes. It's just an optical illusion from our perspective on Earth. Planets don't actually retrograde. But if you are ever doubting the fact that retrogrades actually are important, or particularly Mercury retrogrades, I myself am living proof. I am enjoying a luxurious stay in a hospital, which is fine. It's just a minor issue. But I did have this same issue 10 years ago when Mercury retrograded from the tail end of Pisces, which is the opposite sign of Virgo, back into the tail, from the beginning, of Pisces back into the tail end of Aquarius. That was significant for me because my nodal axis is on Leo and Aquarius. So any retrograde that's happening on that axis is going to be impacting me. And here we are. We have the sun. We have, the sun in Leo, right? And Mercury, Venus is just about to step into Virgo. So we're having this real examination of time, for sure. Like for me, that's a 10-year cycle. That's a nodal axis. But the retrograde is the important part because Mercury becomes ours, right? Our own, uniquely our own souls, and retrograde. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the Thema Mundi, which is the chart of the world. It's the birth chart of the world. So that chart, the ascendant for that chart is at Cancer 15 degrees. And the ascendant is conjunct the moon. And it stands directly across from the descendant standing in, descendant conjoined Saturn. So with the Thema Mundi, if you go through the bottom houses, every planet is in its rulership, but it's only the ancient 7, right? Because the moderns didn't know. They didn't know about the modern 3 planets. And yet they were still doing the same kind of predictions using Saturn in the moon, Mars in the moon, right? When we think about the fixed signs, which is what Leo is, which is what Aquarius is, which is what Taurus is, and which is what Scorpio are, then we're talking about Taurus is Venus. Leo is the sun. Scorpio is Mars. Aquarius is Saturn. So you have this kind of fixity of viewpoints. The divine feminine in Taurus, where the moon is exalted, right? Where we cherish our mothers and we cherish the kind of process of organic growth. Opposite to that, to the Taurus, is the Scorpio axis. This is the Mars-ruled feeling sign, right? So Tauruses can get stuck in their own comfort zone. Scorpios can get stuck in their own feelings, and it can very much feel like self-sabotage because it's Mars. It's like they're using their will against themselves, their emotional will. And when you talk about Leo, we're talking about the sun. We're talking about the noetic light, our kind of prophetic knowing about what's coming up for us. So the fact that the sun is just at 12 degrees for this new moon, the sun and the moon are standing together. Basically what that does is that puts them just before the second house cusp of the Thema Mundi. So if you took the first house of the Thema Mundi as Cancer, 15 degrees, till 50 degrees of Leo, second house, we're talking about the kind of worth and self-worth that we derive and that we have kind of inherited from our families, Cancer. And then we take them into Leo, where we express our own self-worth. We emote, right? The second house is the house of the work that you do in the world from which you earn income. It starts off in its most humble stages with your family. So if you came from meager beginnings, you might have had this kind of poverty lack mindset that I'll never have that because my people never had that, right? So this is a chance to break generational curses, basically. And then when you look at it from the perspective of Saturn, right, who's the ruler of Aquarius, we're talking about generations again also, right? But our own constriction, the way we hold ourselves back. And so these are really important things to think about. And I talked about it in the last time about how Leo with the Strength card can mean going for the things that you want or holding yourself back, restraining yourself. These are very heady days, obviously. I don't have to tell you that. But the fact that Pluto is in air, the fact that the greater benefic Jupiter is in air, and the fact that this retrograde is starting in Earth, to my mind, bodes really well in grounding us in our daily existence. It's easy and terrific to kind of believe our own lies and our own bullshit, but at some point you have to live your own life, right? You have to get real about your reality. Like, here I am. There's no denying this. But in the mutable signs, Gemini, where Jupiter is, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, where Saturn is, most importantly, because Saturn's the limit. Saturn is as far as you will go. If you are honoring your Saturn, you will reach that exalted place. So many people don't realize this, so they don't even know what they're aiming towards. And then depending on where your natal Mercury is, this retrograde is going to speak directly to how your mind serves you. And that's serious business, because thinking about the Thema Mundi with the moon conjunct the ascendant, each one of us is born into this world, into this kind of avatar world. But the moon is on our ascendant. The moon is our own personal feelings. And in Cancer, they directly relate to the ancestors, to our family of origin. So we can't see through the veil of illusion, which is the moon, right? We're not meant to know beyond what is the day, right? The moon rules the day. Every 2.5 days, the moon goes through a sign. So this is really a chance for us to kind of look at our past and how our family perspectives have pushed us or held us back, or how our ambition to create something in the world, with Saturn being the ruler of Capricorn, and we're still in that last Capricorn 29 cycle. Like, that's why I'm here, is because I have my sun at 2852 of Aries. So this Pluto is coming back to square my natal sun. And it's also squaring my Virgo, right? It's not even, it hasn't even reached it's at the degree now, but it's not back in Capricorn. So it's at the degree of my North Node, excuse me, I should have said that. So I'm in this very karmic, very heady time. And when you're talking about Pluto, and you're talking about all retrogrades, you really have to let go, right? Because when the planets go retrograde, it's like the universe takes the wheel, right? Think about it. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west every day. But from the zodiacal perspective, we go, we start at the ascendant and we go from the east to the west, right? We go the opposite direction when we're looking at the zodiac. But from the planet's viewpoint, they're always in the primary motion. They're always rising in the east and setting in the west. So every day we're always rising into their own veil, the Thema Mundi, of our own kind of unconsciousness, right? Which makes the work of becoming consciousness so much more important, because it's like almost like every day you have a reset, right? When you can very easily slip into unconsciousness. So we have this Mercury retrograde, and we're having so many incredible things. I'm going to try to get back to talk about Saturn and Jupiter square. I'll definitely be back for that. I'm almost done here anyhow. But I just wanted to touch base with everyone to say, please do use this time. Think about what your natal Mercury tells you, right? How does that Mercury act? How does he receive? How does he retrieve information? How does he disperse it on your behalf? When you understand your natal Mercury, you will understand how every retrograde affects you, right? Or you could look at the retrograde from the perspective of your natal Mercury and see what you're trying to learn about yourself in that sense. The only power we have in this life is to understand that the only thing we control is ourselves, and we don't do the best job of that, right? But if we don't know ourselves, we have no idea what we're doing. If we don't have a clue about where the houses are, where our planets are, right? How they're moving, how they're speaking to me, then you can't see the energy. You can't perceive it. So now Mercury goes retrograde, and it's like, Jesus, take the wheel, just an expression, but the universe is going to show us in the next 2 weeks what we need to understand about really what we love, about ourselves and about other people, and how we express that love and how we share our joy, right? Because Leo is fire, it's intuition, and it really is the only sign that completely serves the self. And I don't know about you, but I have a really difficult time kind of not serving my family and not serving my world and not doing my job because I live an actual life. But the way I pursue my Leo is my choice, right? It's up to me. This is a good example. This moon will be a good example for how Placidus systems versus whole house systems work. Because by the whole house, I'm a Virgo ascendant. As soon as the sun steps into Leo, I'm in the 12th house. Well, where am I? I'm in the hospital. That's what the 12th house is. I'm doing deep thinking, right? And healing. That's why we go to the hospital. That's why we segregate ourselves, to contemplate ourselves and how we best need to be served by our own ego. And so when we think about, but from the Placidus perspective, this new moon is in my 11th house. So I'm going to be setting intentions for the hopes and the wishes and the dreams that I want to see come to fruition in 6 months. And that's incredibly exciting. So although I'm in the mire right now, I also have Mercury squaring my moon, which is the mind in a conversation of tension with the body, right? All you have to do is know yourself. You don't have to know anyone else's chart. You don't have to understand what's going on for other people. When you understand yourself and how your chart is speaking to you, you say, "Oh, that's a pitfall for me," or "Oh, there's that little bugaboo again," right? And then every time a problem comes up, you have a better chance to handle it. That's the beauty of the retrogrades. So I'm going to go through the signs very quickly and talk about where Leo is. take your hands off the wheel a little bit in terms of trying to outthink your problems or outthink your life. Because you're not going to do it, you're never going to do it, right? Your fire, your intuition's going to override it anyways, right? You can't think like, oh, I'm really safe when you see the shark in the water next to you, right? Mars isn't going to he's not going to go for that. He's going to run. He's going to keep you safe. And honestly, I've spent quite a lot of time in hospitals, so they don't really faze me, but the will to live is very strong. And so when you see people who are in this really negative, cynical mindset of, oh, Lord, take me now, and boy, when will it ever end? Well, you know when it's going to end? Not for a long time for those people, because they are squandering the day. Because if you don't own your own life, then you're just waiting to die, and that's not living. So please do think about that. Life is heavy, right? It's hard. People suffer. But we suffer more in our minds. We do it to ourselves. Those who suffer twice. When we're in this retrograde, we're in the station right now, I've had more calls asking questions about things that are just, there's no answer to them. I have to wait just like everyone else has to wait. But it's like in the end, whether people acknowledge it or not, they feel the uncertainty. And they're just trying to do their own patterns to kind of make sense of their lives right now. Give them a little humility and grace. Leo's also the sign of the king, right? So if it's not your purview and it's not your responsibility, take care of yourself, right? Keep your eyes on your own page. Understand all of the things in your world are not due to you and how wonderful you are. A lot of it is fated, and a lot of it is kindness and love, right? And so therefore we can hopefully articulate our love for our loved ones in a better way, in a kind of clearer way, depending on whatever your style of that is. I apologize for my appearance. I know it's horrific, but I don't really give a shit, because it's the message that's important to me. It's the learning. It's the growth. It's the potential. Do you know what I mean? That's worth it for me. And I hope that you're invested enough in yourself to do that work as well. So hopefully I'll be back in a few days. Until we connect again, I'm going to go through the signs. For the new moon, try to get out and have a good day. Do you know what I mean? Try to remember the simple joys of childhood. A popsicle. You know what I mean? I couldn't have anything to drink. I would have killed for a popsicle. I would have killed to just do anything in the summer. I'd much prefer to be in my pool, right? But here's my nodal axis, and I have to dance to the tune that's playing, right? Just like everybody else. So much of it is not in our control. So much of it is really just a question of perspective, not perception. Our perception is the Cancer ascendant conjunct the moon, right? I perceive the world as this. You perceive the world as that. Our perspective is when we kind of go above and we compare our notes and we kind of know our charts and we compare our charts, we see all the similarities. We see all of the patterns in our lives. It's just a gorgeous opportunity to know thyself better. And isn't that kind of the point, right? So until we connect again, take care. Aries. If you are an Aries ascendant, then this Leo new moon is happening in your 5th house. This is a tricky one for Aries, because Aries, that's the joy of Venus, right? So it brings you joy to create in whatever form or fashion, right? So if you cannot create and you are somewhat stymied, can you turn tact? Can you change kind of position? It's almost back to school time. Lots of kids are going away for the first time, right? And we want to hold our kids close, and yet we have to push them away because they have to become their own individual people. They cannot be tied to our apron strings Otherwise, we have failed them. We have not prepared them for people who will not be as kind to them as we will. Keep that in mind. Taurus. If you are a Taurus ascendant, boy, this Leo retrograde is happening at the base of your chart. This is your IC. This is your home, your family, your foundation. Being a Taurus, you probably have incredibly strong feelings with regard to your mother, right? But then when you go down to the hell realms of the IC, you're talking about the father, right? Because Leo is the father. Leo is the king, right? And so very often your life might have set up this kind of loyalty conflict between your father and your mother. Or maybe they asked you to be in a loyalty conflict, which you never deserved to be in, right? And how much of your decision making and how much of your family legacy is based on these notions of loyalty conflicts, and how much are you doing things that are actually for you and true to yourself? Think about it. Gemini. If you are a Gemini ascendant, then this Leo new moon is happening in your third house. So this is great for you, Gemini. That's the third house is the house that is associated with you. That's siblings, cousins, neighbors. Those are the people that you spend your everyday activities with, right? Those are the rituals that we do to kind of make sense of our world. And when I say ritual, I don't mean like candles and incense and prayers. I'm saying I get up in the morning, I put my slippers on, I go down, I have my coffee, right? I let my dogs out. That's ritual too. With this retrograde, think about how you use your time. For Geminis, time is like water. It can slip right through your fingers. But also, dead times can be very difficult for Geminis because they want the constant stimulation. The universe is forcing you to go inside and look at what ways of kind of sporadic decisions in the moment have you made that haven't really been true to your heart or true to yourself. Were they your parents' will, right? Or how much faith, because this is opposite the ninth house, how much faith in the world did you have then? And how much more faith in the world do you have now? Or how much more faith do you have in yourself? I hope that helps, Gemini. Cancer. If you are a Cancer ascendant, then this, excuse me, then this Leo new moon is happening, and the retrograde in Leo into Leo is happening in your second house. So everything I said about the Thema Mundi applies to you. This is a really important time, Cancer, because Cancers are ruled by the moon, right? And when we think about the moon, about the tarot card of the moon, there are so many things that are unseen, right? I think about the Radiohead song, There. And it seems like there's whispers coming from every place, and there's so much fear to be had because you just don't know. Well, you're never going to know, really, right? So for Cancers in particular, they really need to navigate by their emotional compass. And so if you don't know how your kind of thinking patterns were formed, you won't be aware of how they're determining your self-worth and value, because that's really what the second house is about. Yes, it's about the money that you make in the world, but if you don't love and value yourself as a Cancer, it's like you're murdering your own Leo. You're murdering any chance. Murder is a strong word, I realize. Give me a break. But don't deaden your possibilities, right? The universe is trying to open up and show you something fantastic about maybe not what you consider your self-worth, but what others consider you worthy. Think about it. Virgo, if you are a Virgo ascendant, then this, the Mercury retrograde is beginning in your sign, Virgo, and then it's going back into your 12th house. So I hope to God, knock on wood, you don't end up in the hospital either, but there are absolutely times when we need to kind of go go into the dark, go into the cave, right? Our lives are so cyclical that there's always periods of ebbs and flows. And when you're in an ebb, when you're in a lull, when you're depleted, you have to contemplate the hermit, because you are the hermit, right? With the lantern, with the light, the star. Well, that's the spark of individuality. It is your life force, and it's that big in the lantern, right? It doesn't take a lot to start a wildfire. And Virgo's, this Mercury is your planet, so he's your ruler. So try not to fight back against anything that's being showed to you about the way you use your communications, Virgo. You have to learn to make friends with the 12th house, and it's really hard. But pride goeth before the fall, right? And when we're too prideful, when we're too much sun, when we're too much ego, we cut our noses off to spite our face. We really cannot connect with other people. This is why, Leo would be your undoing, right? So rather than kind of falling apart, why not go inside and get the rest and listen to the messages and rekindle that spark of the hermit? It's such an important time, Virgo. With Pluto coming back into Capricorn, we need our wits about us for sure. Take care. Libra, if you are a Libra ascendant, then this Leo new moon is happening in your 11th house. So the 11th house is the house of friends and fellowships, groups that if you worked at a job and you joined the union, that would be the 11th house, right? Or if you went to a certain prestigious school, 9th house, and you got a job through, another alumni, you would be reaping the benefits of both the 9th and the 10th house, if that makes sense. So it's not just about what you're most wanting, it's also about what you're most fearful, right? Libras can have a very difficult time advocating for themselves in a forceful way rather than a passive-aggressive way. I'm sorry, Libra. But it's only because all of our need for harmony is so great. We have to have harmony. But rather than being the fixed sign of Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, which we cannot change, you can take that Venusian energy into that Libra house, into your Libra house, and realign it more with what you want in your heart of hearts in the sun, right? And then you can make your changes. Libra is a cardinal sign, so you're always initiating change. After this retrograde, you hopefully will be so much more clear about what it is you really want in your heart of hearts, and then you'll kind of be kick-started, particularly with Jupiter in air, right? You'll be kick-started to make the changes you need to. Take care, Libra. Scorpio. If you're a Scorpio ascendant, then Leo is the top of your chart. This is going to be a kind of tricky time for fixed signs, right? Because you are fixed. There's nothing you can do about that other than understanding. This Mercury retrograde should help you to understand your penchant for drama. And I'm not saying that in a mean way, because we all want drama. We all want to be the center of the show, Leo, right? And maybe we are that at work, or maybe we were that in our family, or maybe we are that with our spouse, but not with everyone else. And so for Scorpios, that can be very difficult, because how they are perceived by the outer world, they take it into such a darker place, into the well, right? And so think about it like this. The sun, the Leo sun, is exalted in Aries. And as a Scorpio, Mars is your ruler, right? Pluto is your modern ruler, but Mars is your ruler. So think about how much you're kind of need to be in the mix puts people at odds with you. Or if you're not involved in the gossip or the drama, how is that kind of setting you off to kind of reaffirm your position, right? Because it's the 10th house. You need to be seen, right? And very often people who have fixed placements, they end up working in very difficult situations because they are able to handle the drama. The question is, because it's Leo, how much drama are you creating for yourself? Take care. Sag. If you are a Sag, then this Leo new moon is happening in your 9th house. This is the house of the higher mind. This is the joy of the sun. So for Sagittarius, that's dynamite because you're a fire sign, right? And so maybe try to get in touch with what are your childlike notions about faith, right? Because kids are so exuberant and they have no fear because there's nothing to be afraid of, depending on what the stability of their home and family was, right? So now is the time to kind of realign your fire with the notion that, oh, the universe has my back, right? Oh, I'm not in this alone. To kind of, perceive the higher mind perspective of your life. What a gorgeous opportunity. And because it starts in Virgo, it starts at your 10th house. It could start through work. It could start through your family of origin, right? This is an access point for the mutables. So really try to kind of think about your own philosophy, right? Sagittarius are the great minds of the world. They have the vision, the future vision of, I want to get from A to B, and I'll take all comers on the way, right? We need that giddy up, particularly now. So how much did you earn, and how much, because Cancer is your 8th house, right? How much has just been gifted to you, right? How much it just comes from the goodwill of others. And maybe is it time to take, because you can't change the Leo house, maybe is it time to kind of change your perspective of all of the kind of joy and bounty that your life has blessed you with. I hope this helps. Capricorn. If you are a Capricorn ascendant, then this Leo new moon is happening in your 8th house. Oh boy. What is the 8th house? The 8th house is all the things we're terrified of, right? Death, taxes. What it really is what do I owe, right? Or if I fuck up, is this all on me, right? Is this going to be the ruination of the world because I dropped the ball? Because that can create a lot of paralysis with the Leo 8th house, right? Where we get so kind of bogged down in our work and we allow it to just consume us. Always kind of going up the mountain, Capricorn, not having enough time for joy, but also understanding that your 8th house joy, your truest joy, really comes from being in touch with your softer side of Cancer and being able to say the words, right? Say the words. Or think about them. Or think about all the times you didn't say the words. Or think about all the times you didn't speak your truth. Because we're in a retrograde, so those opportunities are going to come back for you. Take care. Aquarius. If you are an Aquarius ascendant, then this Leo new moon is happening in your 7th house. So this is all about partnership. How do you treat your partners? How has the changeability of the 8th house Virgo affected the way you see partnership, right? As an Aquarius, you're already born into the perspective of, I'm an outsider, right? Aquarius is where we're kind of all our own unique self, right? I have Pluto is on my North Node right now. I look like hell. And here I am trying to convey something of the astrology for the betterment of the world, because that's what Aquarius is. It's what we do, right? We do it in our own quirky, unique fashion, but we change everything around us, and we don't realize it because we're really iron. We're iron, right? We're Saturn. We're the limit. So when you step into that power of understanding, people need the warmth from you, right? People need the TLC from you. Fake it till you make it, right? Fake it until you make it, because you're going to get a better handle on it in the 8th house of Virgo, right? Because that's a thinking sign. You're a thinking sign. That is where we make material changes based on our perspective, right? But as an Aquarius, you're always taking in all the information and yet feeling so disconnected from the joy, feeling so disconnected from the warmth of others that you so desperately want. Why deny yourselves? It's time to look at your kind of patterns of thinking and where you need to go into Pisces, the 2nd house, and work on your self-worth and value, right? So you can go to the opposite sign of the 8th house and heal. That's real healing there on offer for you, Aquarius. Take care. Pisces, if you're a Pisces ascendant, then this Leo new moon is happening in your Pisces, Virgo, Leo, 6th house. Sorry. So this is the house we live in, right? We live in the 6th house. It's our daily grind. It's the work that we do in the world. Think about, is there joy there, and how can you bring more of it into it? Or think about, how can I bring more joy into my 5th house so that way that carries over into my 6th house? The 6th house is what we willingly take on, right? It's work. It's not career, it's work. So it could be, it's Leo. So it could be any kind of authority figure that you're kind of bracing against. Well, does that come from some daddy things? Do you know what I mean? Do you need more flexibility? Do you not like a heavy hand, right? Are you a heavy hand? Very often we kind of are the shadow in the workhouses, right? We personify the parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily see. Is your everyday need to be the king, which is what Leo is in the 6th house, undercutting your kind of partnership for sure, because you bring that 6th house energy right into the 7th house, but also your entire sense of self? Take care. Bye for now.